My name is Paul Kahler. I'm a retired CW4 in the Army. I spent 10 years on active duty in the Army as a Black Hawk helicopter pilot, and then 20 years in the Tennessee National Guard as a full-time instructor pilot. I started out in the infantry at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, 502nd Infantry, and then after a year at Fort Campbell, decided I wanted to go to flight school, and in 1988 I graduated from Warrant Officer Flight School and was later sent to Fort Stewart, Georgia. I was based out of Hunter Army Airfield, flying Black Hawks. First mission I got when we got to Savannah was supporting people of South Carolina after Hurricane Hugo. We supported recoveries, and we actually found a school building with a bunch of kids stuck on top of the school. The school had flooded, and they were actually on the roof, and we helped extract them. Spent another 3 weeks in around Charleston, helping people with supplies and stuff. The bridges were out to Sullivan's Island and the Wild Dunes area. So we did a lot of support for that. After that, I was based out of Savannah and was sent to the Bahamas to do a mission called Operation Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, OPBAT, and it was a counter-drug operation. I was based in Great Exuma, Bahamas, and we basically did counter-drug operations with DEA and the U.S. Coast Guard. Really enjoyed the mission. Had a lot of fun, to the point where if the Army had found out how much fun I was having, they probably would have stopped it right there, because between Savannah and being in the Bahamas, I had a pretty good first assignment. Then August 1990, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, and 24th Infantry Division was activated for Desert Storm. We went over in August and spent 4 months in the desert at a place called Thadj, way out in the desert. Lived in local tents, and basically trained for 4 months, doing a lot of support missions before the war actually kicked off. During the war, my primary mission was called Psychological Operations. That was a mission where we had a Special Forces team on my aircraft and a big speaker system in the back of the aircraft. And our mission was to fly over enemy positions and broadcast for them to surrender, and throw out leaflets for them to surrender. Once the war kicked off, after 2 days, we had more prisoners than we knew what to do with. So they told us to just basically take these guys' weapons and try to get them to go home. Most of them wouldn't leave because we were actually taking better care of them than the Iraqi army was. They were really afraid that the Republican Guard was going to kill all the soldiers that went home. So we couldn't get rid of them. We'd take their weapons and they'd just sit down and they wouldn't leave. After we had that many prisoners, they said, "We don't have a mission for you, so here's some music. We want you to fly around and play rock and roll for all the troops." So we did that for about a week. After the war was over, some of the people in the 24th Division were sent home early because they had to get back for the St. Patty's Day parade in Savannah, Georgia. And I wasn't one of those people, so we showed up a little bit after that. Spent most of the summer after Desert Storm flying generals around for victory parades. I got married after I came back, and my wife was from around Fort Rucker area in Alabama, so I asked to get transferred to Fort Rucker, hoping to be an instructor pilot there. And when I showed up, because of my infantry background, they decided I would be a TAC officer, which is a training and counseling officer for warrant officers, which is basically a drill sergeant for officers. Did that for 2 years, and then went to the flight line to be an instructor pilot. Instructor pilot course was extremely difficult, especially since I hadn't flown for 2 years. my friends told me that not to worry, there was always someone dumber than me, dumber than you in the class, but they were wrong. I was that guy that barely made it through, had to take some extra check rides, but I finally made it through. And then once I got to the flight line as an instructor, I did a really good job, and everything went fine. So in 1995, I was an instructor pilot at Fort Rucker, got orders for Korea. Well, this time I had a wife and 2 children, and I knew if I stayed in the Army for another 10 years, I was going to have to go to Korea at least twice. So I just tried to figure out which 2 years of my kids' lives I wanted to miss, and the only answer I could come up with was none of them. So I decided to get out of the Army, and I had a friend in the Tennessee National Guard. So I got out of the Army in February, and the next day I was in the Tennessee National Guard. Was based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, flying in a medevac unit in Chattanooga, and really, really enjoyed it. A year later, I was hired on full-time as a Department of Army civilian, flying Blackhawks for the state of Tennessee, and I was based out of Smyrna, which I spent the next 19 years flying out of Smyrna. So the mission in the Tennessee National Guard, I loved it. We did a lot of disaster relief, a lot of hurricane relief. We have an agreement with all the states around Tennessee that if there's a hurricane, we go support them with their Blackhawks. We led a lot of firefighting, pretty interesting mission. Flew a lot of governors around, a lot of generals around. And then for 8 years, I had to fly Vice President Al Gore every time he came back to Tennessee. Vice President has to get his own helicopter, so when he comes back to his home state, he has to be supported by the National Guard. Then 9/11 happened, and I was watching TV at work one day and saw the second plane fly into the World Trade Center, and I knew things were going to change completely for us. And that was in 2001. In 2004, we were sent to Iraq. The Black Hawk unit was sent to support the South Carolina National Guard Attack Battalion, a battalion of Apaches. So we were a Black Hawk company supporting an attack battalion. We were based out of a place called Q West, which is in northern Iraq, just south of Mosul. And it was pretty stressful. The flying was really difficult. Flying in the desert, mostly at night, was really, really very difficult. And on December 9th, 2004, I was on a mission with an Apache following me. It was my wingman. And there was a combination of smoke in the sky, very bad visibility, and we were getting shot at a lot. And as we were going into refuel in Mosul, the Apache, who was my wingman, landed on top of my helicopter. The aircraft exploded. Miraculously, all 7 people on my aircraft made it out alive. But not only the aircraft exploded, but all the ammunition on the Apache exploded, which was missiles, hellfires. So we almost blew up the whole city of Mosul. I was in the hospital overnight. There was a hospital at the other end of the runway in Mosul. And I was told that the Apache guys didn't survive. So that was difficult, especially since it was 2 National Guard units. And we had destroyed a Black Hawk and an Apache. So it was kind of a high visibility crash. About a month later, I was back in the cockpit. They wanted me to get back up flying. Went through a really difficult crash investigation. Then in April of 2005, I was sent to Landstuhl, Germany, to the hospital there because of an eye injury. And on the aircraft, which was a flying hospital, basically an Air Force C-17, equipped with a bunch of hospital stuff in it. There was 3 guys on the flight that they didn't think were going to make it through the flight. going to make it to Germany. And they had a team of surgeons basically trying to keep these guys alive for the flight up to Germany. Spent 2 weeks in Germany, basically resting. They believed my eye problem was stress-induced. And came back, and we finished up that rotation. We were gone. We were in country for 11 months and gone for 15 months on that rotation. Came back, and then in 2009 we were deployed again, this time with the 230th Armored Cavalry Regiment. It was towards the end of Iraqi freedom. We were basically, our mission during this trip was to start sending everybody home. We would move people around the country to where they would get ready to leave the country. On the way out of the country, there was a helicopter crash, and I was tasked in recovering the people. I didn't know who they were till I got there and found out it was Captain Marcus Alford and CW4 Billie Jean Grinder, and we had to transport their bodies from Q West to up to Mosul so they could be put on a C-130 and sent home. So that was a really bad ending to that deployment. It was kind of a waste of time, and the crash just really kind of gutted the unit. We were really never the same after that. Came back to Tennessee in 2010, and I did 2 more years as an instructor pilot out of Smyrna, and then in 2013 I was retired medically, and in 2014 I was out of the military after 30 years.